All right, good afternoon, everybody. Excited to be back here. I'm Tim, and I am hopefully I remember what I am. I am the co-founder and CEO of EdiMembre, and I wanted to kind of kick things off with you guys just to share a little bit about the EdiMembre story, touch on some of the technical advancements that we've been making over the last few months since spinning out, and I'll talk about that. And I'm really grateful for the panel that was actually just in front of us because it set the stage for a lot of the things that we've actually experienced over the last year or so trying to build and run a company. So I wanted to start with this picture, and this is the Tufts Food Innovation Day from last year. And it was a very important day for us because it actually represented the first time that we were externally speaking about what we wanted to do. So you can see the room was full. There was academics, there were startups, there were investors, and it was our first direct experience meeting with investors, and half of them are actually sitting in the room today that actually backed us. So it's really kind of a full circle moment for us being a year exactly in. So I just wanted to highlight the importance of this day, and I hope that it continues moving forward and continues to grow. So the EdiMembre story, we like to say that we are Boston's newest food tech company. And while we are really only 6 months old, we're much older than that. So Ryan Sylvia is my co-founder and chief science officer. Some of you guys might know him because together, both of us worked at Merck. And so I ran the cultured meat program there for 5 years. And Ryan was directly responsible for the edible scaffold program that we were running. And what we did over that time, the 5 years, is invest 5 years of R&D development, $5 million, and built up a really nice patent portfolio that we actually did a commercial license agreement with Merck to spin out in August, so just 6 months ago. So even though, again, 6 months old, we've known each other for 6 years now, and I'm happy to be working on this with him. And so our platform technology is really an edible protein membrane. And you might know us just from the years of working in the cultivated meat and seafood space. So a lot of the cultured meat products that are out today, the 1.0 products, are really unstructured. So think nuggets, meatballs, patties, and using cells as ingredients. And our approach was unlocking structured whole cuts with our technology. So we are a pre-seed company that raised a little over $500,000, and we're in the process of raising a seed round right now. So any of you guys that are in the space now that are trying to raise money, I'm happy to talk about that and what our experience was, and I'll shed some light on it today. So I'll start with the cultivated stuff for us. I think a lot of the talks today already covered a good deal about the challenges with the food system overall, and then specifically the challenges with conventional meat and seafood, and why there isn't another choice other than just to change the way that we make food. And so cultivated meat, for those of you guys that might not be super familiar, really involves growing cells and muscle and tissue using modern biotech means to just create meat that would be very similar to what you would buy today. And so the products that are out on the market today are really amazing. There's been a lot of work that have gone into them, and they are kind of on that bottom left-hand side. So that's the nuggets, the meatballs, and the patties that I mentioned, and using cells and ingredients. But what the consumer is really asking for is that structured, high-value whole cut, and it just simply doesn't exist on the market today. At the same time, a couple of the talks earlier are talking about how if this industry is going to be successful, you have to scale up, 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 and more, right? So more stainless steel and more of those tanks at larger scales. So it's a challenge. So our solution is called Craft Ridge. It's craft meat made in a cartridge, and it's actually the world's first whole cut cultivated meat that you can actually harvest directly from the bioreactor system. And just from a bioprocess perspective, how it actually works, on the left-hand side, that's the actual cartridge. Inside are edible protein membrane fibers, so edible hollow fibers. And you seed muscle cells, fat cells into the device with cell culture media. You let them culture over time, and after a few weeks, you're actually able to pull out structured meat that you can see right there. We're actually able to cook it with some butter. It sizzled. It smelled nice. And some of the value adds that I'm going to call out are, one, it truly does unlock structure. Hollow fiber bioreactor systems, for anybody that might be coming from the cell therapy space like myself, or pharmaceuticals, hollow fiber systems are actually renowned for being super duper efficient in terms of growing cells, media consumption, et cetera. The easy harvest component, I think, is a really neat thing as well, and then less CapEx, which I'm going to touch on in just a few minutes. So how does it actually work? So what I have in my hand here is our 3-gram device. So this is available. So if anybody is interested in getting their hands on it, please come talk to us. Some of the people that have been testing this externally, we rely on industry partners like the culture meat and seafood startups to test this and give us feedback so we can make an even better craft fridge device. But what I'll say is that we designed this with food in mind. So the edible protein fibers that are actually inside that are hollow, they're made from mung protein isolate. And everything that is used in the manufacturing of this fiber is GRAS, the intermediates, the solvents, et cetera. And then when you take a peek at the actual housing or the cartridge itself, it's all food contact safe materials. And the real beauty, and I think a differentiator for us, if you're really going after a structured whole cut piece of muscle, is you need vasculature. My background is cell manufacturing, tissue engineering, 3D bioprinting, and that's just always been one of the challenges of the space. And we think that edible hollow fiber systems are the only system that can actually unlock this capability. So just like the vasculature inside of you, the meat actually grows in between and around that. So providing that nutrient transfer is super important, and that's what we think is really great about our system. So CapEx reduction. This picture that you see here is the bioprocess template that is actually patented by us. So this was, I think, Ryan's patent from August 21st, 2020, and I always remember that because my birthday is August 21st, so it's an easy one. But super high level, also for people that are new to the space. If you're going from left to right on that graphic, whether you're making beef, chicken, pork, salmon, shrimp, and whether you're making a nugget, meatball, or a patty, or a whole entire steak, everybody starts on that far left-hand side. So your cells, your media, that seed train to grow as many cells as possible. From that spot, you can actually harvest the cells to be used as an ingredient, or you can bleed off those cells and then load them in a secondary bioreactor system, in this case, our edible hollow fiber bioreactor system. And rather than having to build out many large stainless steel tanks, we actually can use one in a semi-continuous or continuous approach and then just feed it into as many craft fridge devices as you could possibly imagine, right? And the scale-out approach is really nice because it limits CapEx, and it also allows you to reduce the risk. So if you're using a 100,000-liter system, something goes wrong and you have to throw it out, that's a big problem. If you have, let's say, 100 craft fridge devices that are all in parallel, if something goes wrong with one of them, you only have to throw that one out. So this is kind of our process. So in addition to unlocking structure and that capability, reducing CapEx is, I think, a huge plus for us and our approach. So what about scale? Ryan, he didn't want me to take this picture. We were actually in Poland here. And he's holding the equivalent of a 3-gram device in his hand. And in the middle is actually a dialysis unit. And then on the far side is actually a piece of a water filtration unit. And why I'm calling this out is because, as we know, meat is a very large industry, and we have to prepare for that. The good news is that hollow fiber systems have been around for decades, and they've been industrialized and scaled up already just for other industries, so like dialysis and water filtration. So you can imagine in the future, as we scale up our process, a room full of hollow fiber systems that are just edible, like you see here. So, on that note, I'm happy to unveil for the first time today publicly, partly because this was made less than a week ago. This is our 1 kg or 1 kilogram edible hollow fiber bioreactor system. This is craft fridge. And why is it important and why we want to show it? One thing is de-risking our process and scaling it up. The amount of fibers that are in this device compared to the 3-gram device here, there's something like 70 fibers in that small 3-gram device, and in this device alone, there's over 2,000 fibers. So that's like a 40x rate away right there. So not only did we have to make this physical size device, we had to actually scale the edible protein manufacturing, so the magic that's inside. And that's just a real testament, I think, to our technical team who are here today, because between August and Thanksgiving, we effectively 10x'd our manufacturing capability for our edible protein membrane manufacturing. So that's only the first 10x. We have a very smart and really strong team. So we have more in the pike in terms of how we can actually boost that further. So this is just a cross section, so you can kind of see what it looks like on the inside. And as mentioned, the hollow fibers allow media to flow through, and then we can actually seed the cells in between and around. And we can actually increase or decrease the amount of fibers that are in the device. It's referred to as the packing density. So there are some companies that have a bioprocess that they want the least amount of fibers as possible, and then some of them wanted more. So it's a tunable platform, is what I would say. And just one other thing, too, because I neglected to mention it earlier in terms of the bioprocess, adherent cell cultures have worked with it, suspension, single cell, as well as aggregates have as well. We've tested it across different species and cell types as well. So it's a pretty agnostic system in terms of how we built it out. Again, what I wanted to say too, in addition to having the world's largest edible hollow fiber bioreactor system in our hands now, the way that was actually unlocked is through scaling our production for the fiber, and that just gives you an idea right there in that graphic what the fiber looks like. So, a lot of the talks today called out some of the challenges in the space, and we're not a stranger to that. For the last 6 years, we've seen just about everything happen. We've seen all of the companies raise a ton of money. We've also seen amazing technical achievements. We've seen some of the challenges. And right now we're in it trying to fundraise. But I think in the last panel, they talked about too how you have to learn how to adapt. You have to really course correct sometimes. So what I'm showing this for is that it doesn't really scare us or change our conviction, I think is what Aria said, right? We still fully believe in this. But what I really see is that it's a call for opportunity. It's a call to start building again, right? And it's a call to be lean, CapEx light, and really milestone focused. And if you're building out a company, just make sure that it's not solely focused on one particular application. So I want to just spend a couple minutes telling you about how we did that. So our core platform technology is certainly centered around this edible protein membrane. We like to call it protein microarchitecting. And what you're looking at is a SEM image of our edible protein membrane. And the great thing about it and what our expertise is that we have excellent control over the mechanical properties. So think the stiffness of the material. Think the porosity, right, which is super important for that nutrient transfer. But what else could we be applying this edible protein membrane platform to? And so to effectively de-risk the cultivated play, we're applying our platform tech to two key industries that are a little bit different than cultivated. One is high protein pasta, which is kind of in that functional food bucket. And then also drug delivery. I'm going to touch on drug delivery just for a second, just to mention that it's really targeted at materials. It could be drugs, it could be supplements that are typically challenged by oral delivery. And by loading it into our membrane, it can increase the delivery capabilities and enhance the residency time in order for it to get to the target site. So we have an ongoing project with Merck to keep that relationship. They're looking at some drugs, and we're making membrane and pursuing that. So a little bit about pasta and why we're working on pasta. People have been talking about it all day. Protein is here. It's exciting. And I think as of less than 24 hours ago as well, they've updated the US dietary guidelines to really jack up protein intake. I think it was less than half a gram per pound per day, and now it's, I think, 1.2 to 1.6 grams per pound, right? And really what we're doing is meeting the consumer where they are. And if you look at these brands that are actually out there today across bars, yogurts, cereals, et cetera, they're coming out with more protein, less carbs, less calories. So there's huge opportunity, I think, in a traditional food like pasta, where it's typically carb rich, even if they're able to add protein into it, right? So you're still getting the protein, but it's actually still tough, right? And I think that the consumers that we're looking at here, GLP-1 is super hot right now. It's 10% of the population is taking it, and it's going to double over the next 10 years. There's people that are pre-diabetic and diabetic, as well as these fitness enthusiasts. So with EdiMembre's protein pasta, it's single ingredient, it's gluten-free, it's allergen-free. We can make it up to 90% plus protein by weight. So it's really a great starting material from which we can tune and change to meet the needs of the consumer. So any protein pasta company, a manufacturer or a brand that wants to get their hands on this would instantly become, a category leader in terms of the calories from protein. So we're really excited about that. And last night, some of us that are in the room got to come out to our headquarters in Woburn, and we did a tasting of protein pasta 2 ways. So we had a vegan marinara and then a traditional carbonara. And it was a really awesome experience. It was cool to kind of break the ice with some of the people that we haven't met before. We also had some investors. We had some feedback, and it was thanks to a local chef out in Woburn from the Fox Den, Chef Ryan Ziki. So more tasting on that to come. I think that was protein pasta, we'll call it 1.0. So I'm excited to see what 2.0 will look like. So I'll end by just showing the picture of the team. We like to say that we're very lean and strong and mighty. I think that's very important at this point in time. Ryan's on the left. Diego Gervasio is in between he and Ryan and I. And then Bridget Barrick is there, and I will call out that she is a graduate of Tufts University and Professor David Kaplan's program. So we've worked with them for the last 3 years on the Merck side, and they joined us, and we're very happy that they did because it wouldn't be possible without them. And then, of course, I do want to thank our first investors that believed in us and have had, I think, unwavering support given the turbulent times. And I'm excited for everything that's to come. So I'm happy to take a couple questions if they're up there, I see. Thank you.